Now, just a little warning before we begin. There will be major spoilers in this video for the first episode of The House of the Dragon.
Winter is coming.
No, it's not coming for a while yet, but...
No.
Anyway, if you haven't seen it yet, you don't want anything ruined. You know what to do. Click away and come back after you have seen it. Okay, so episode 1, House of the Dragon. What did you think?
Okay, there were some... I was very interested in it. I liked that it, of course, immediately just jumping into the deep end of the pool, right back into Westeros.
The deep end, I felt like.
Yeah, the details were all like I remembered them. Everything felt right.
Yes, but I do think you are, if you have not seen Game of Thrones, if you don't remember it well, you are in the deep end. I actually really liked how Game of Thrones, the HBO series, starts. Kind of, you get the little White Walker tease, and then you kind of get into the Starks, and you learn about the brothers.
Starks, Baratheon, Lannisters. You kind of
slow
roll up the houses.
Yeah, exactly. You kind of just get eased. You get one house, and then the king come. It's a very kind of gradual, whereas this is, again, you're in the deep end. Like, if you haven't seen it, you're probably like, why should I even care about these Targaryens, and why do they have dragons? What in the hell's going on right now? But no, they definitely capture that exact same feeling of Game of Thrones, so... That's a positive.
Even the music. I mean, at the end of the episode, of course, they straight up pretty much gave you the Game of Thrones original theme, but there were hints of it in the music throughout.
Sprinkled in throughout, yeah.
Which was nice. It was nice because it's, of course, the theme everyone remembers and fell in love with. And you kind of get that feeling again, but with a new spin on it.
Yeah, and this is like 170 years before. I mean,
172.
I kind of like how they did that at the beginning, where they kind of gave you the writing, and they're like, 170 years before, Daenerys. And it's like...
They're really trying to make sure you understand these are very separate.
They gave you the whole spiel, and they put the words, and then they, just put those,
none of these people will be alive then.
Yes, don't
We are very far from the Mad King.
Yes, we have a long ways to go before that other show that lasted for 8 seasons. And
it's their way of putting the distance.
Yes, I kind of like that they made it very clear that this is a prequel, which... Hey, another prequel. Yay.
Yay, prequel.
I wasn't honestly all that excited going into this because of prequel. I kind of am just worn out on prequels. Matt Smith made me excited. Oh, Matt Smith is probably my favorite character so far. That dude is...
Daemon.
Well, no.
Daemon Targaryen.
Well, yeah, the dude is Daemon. I know that. But I mean, I love him from ever since... Doctor Who, and of course, Morpheus. I was calling him Morpheus.
Morbin time.
When he's Morpheus in The Matrix.
He played Milo.
Yeah. Yes, he played Milo in one of the greatest films ever created.
Clearly.
And yes, I'm being very sarcastic, but...
Are you?
Here he was good in that too, for what it was. I mean, he can act. Like I said, the dude can act. And he acts his ass off in this, pun intended, I think. Because
we didn't see that.
There are ass shots in this, yes, so... I mean, and let's go right into that, because Game of Thrones is known for graphicness.
It's known for its...
It didn't shy away from that here, and I don't just mean in the nudity front. I mean...
Nudity, the
just the whole birth scene. Wow.
The visceral violence.
Yeah, yes, very much
I actually thought that was very clever. The way that, early on, because I can't remember her name, the mother told her daughter that, their battlefield... is giving birth, and then they crossed it with a battle on the tournament, and I was like, well, that was clever.
Men are swinging swords at each other. We will basically give birth. I don't know if it's an exact equivalent, but I like what they tried to do there. Yes,
I thought it was a hard to watch scene though. I
was watching you watch it because you were so squeamish and didn't want to watch, and I didn't want to watch either. To be
normally violence doesn't make me that squeamish. It was the birth scene and having to make that decision.
Yes.
That hard, impossible choice. The choice of either we're going to lose them both, or I can try and save the baby.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you still look at that and go, I guess I have to tell you that my wife will die?
Yeah, it's either way. So we can
either way you were going to lose her, but you're like, still, what a decision.
It's such a... I don't even know the words to describe that scene. Like I said,
it hits you so hard emotionally because you know the choice that has to be made, but having the strength to make that choice and then blaming yourself afterwards.
Just like, he held his wife's hand.
And he tried to tell her,
Yeah.
it was heart-wrenching. But you know that he didn't make the choice lightly. You know that the scene had the gravitas it deserved.
Yeah.
So, I mean, handling that on screen, very well done. It was just rough to watch.
Yep. And they didn't shy away from showing you exactly what was going on. Not at all.
Boy. Let's talk about that, the new heir, Rhaenyra.
Yeah.
Sweet.
End of review. Thanks for...
Well, I like that, losing his wife, losing his son, really made him realize that he has pretty much lost his daughter his whole life.
Yeah, I think the losing of the son, I think, it's partially disappointment that, oh, well, there goes my son. It's partially heartache that I just lost my wife. And it's partially regret that I
never
ignored my daughter for all these years.
All these years, he had her.
But yeah. And he realized he just wasted his, not his life, but he wasted all his time waiting for a son when he had a daughter the whole time. Mm-hmm. And
it was big of him to be able to see that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a hard thing, but I mean, I think he probably would have still named his brother the heir had his brother not said something stupid.
Yeah, the heir for a day, and then celebrated with horse. That tends to anger a brother.
I mean, if he wouldn't have said that and just been out there with the whores, and he probably could have conned his brother and be like, "We all grieve in our own way."
Well, that's what he tried.
His brother would have
believed
believed that, but it's the speech that did him in.
Yeah, that's not something you want to hear.
But at the same time, there's a lot of extra stuff afoot. The hand of the king, despite the fact that the king trusts him implicitly, I believe he is being manipulated 100%. And he knew he would not be able to manipulate Daemon and didn't want Daemon.
One of the reasons why I love watching shows like this with you is because we have the exact same thoughts at the same time. When he sent his daughter to the room, we both immediately looked at each other and are like, we didn't even have to say it. We both knew he's sending her there to eventually get pregnant with the heir to the throne.
Yes.
And we know that's, I mean...
Well, as the second son, he has no power.
Exactly.
Except for what he can gain through
marriage or
his daughter or, being influencing on the council as he is.
That was a interesting
Poor
scene.
Allison.
Yeah. I wonder if she
I'm working so hard on their names.
I know. I'm just going to say the father, the daughter. I don't remember.
No, it's Allison. Because I always thought it was Allison, but it's Allison.
You got to put a T in there and make it cool.
Yeah, Allison.
Yeah.
Cool.
No, that was... And I mean, to discuss it, because the showrunners have talked about it, the show is meant to show that men use women, and, well, the first episode kind of very much implies that men can be terrible.
But it also shows that they can be good.
It does.
I mean, think of the scene even at the tournament. The Dornish man had the opportunity to go ahead and kill Daemon or maim him.
Probably would have
Instead,
saved a lot of headaches.
He forced him to yield, and Daemon yielded.
Yeah, and here's my take on it.
The father making his daughter heir.
I have no problem if you want to show patriarchy in the show, because let's be completely honest. Medieval times.
Yeah, patriarchy.
Yes, that goes hand in hand. It happened in the first series, and nobody... I guess the big difference is you didn't have to, tell us, we understood. And this time, of course, they have to tell us, which we already kind of assumed and expected. And it's not like in Game of Thrones there aren't extremely strong female characters and women who don't take no crap from men, if you will. I mean, most of them don't, if we'll be completely honest with you. Don't. I mean, it was such a well-done show because it was, it showed both sides of it, and it did it extremely well. And there were great, Eddard Stark, for example, was... Everybody wonders what happens if he doesn't, get killed, What happens to the realm if, he doesn't get beheaded and all these horrible things.
I wonder if he would have taken the same path Sansa did and eventually ceded the North.
Maybe, yeah. Her younger brother, Robb. Or older brother, Robb. His
eldest son.
Eldest son, yes. I was talking about Sansa, but...
I love Sansa.
Whatever.
Exactly. I mean, you can definitely see where the series is going very strongly. The old king decided he didn't want war to come because he knew this prophecy that a Targaryen needs to be sitting on the throne when the dark times come, 170-some years later.
It's got a ways to go yet.
He knew a Targaryen needed to be on the throne to keep the realm united against the threat. So he decided to let the council choose. Maybe he didn't think his daughter was strong enough to take on this role. Who knows what he thought, but he gave the decision away to the council, who chose Viserys. But Viserys chose his daughter. There's definitely war coming. We saw Daemon going off in a huff.
in a huff on a dragon, and he's going to huff and puff and blow your house down.
His whore friend with him.
Did he take her with? I didn't notice.
She was on the back.
Okay, I couldn't tell.
He took her with.
He had a very cool dragon, that's all I know.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the kind I would want. I don't know.
I liked the gold dragon.
I liked the gold dragon too, but something about the kind of the red and the black, and it was kind of more like a live kind of, dragon. Kind of narrow and skinny.
Man, am I right? I'm kidding. But, so we know Daemon's going to cause trouble, clearly. How are these other kingdoms going to react to Rhaenyra taking over? How is the old king's daughter going to handle this?
The one who was almost going to be on
the one who should have been when never was queen?
Yes.
The never queen?
Yes.
Or whatever they jokingly called her.
Is she happy or is she jealous or...
she might be very mad at me.
Her own...
Remember, don't forget, her husband in the council brought up that she had a claim and already has a son.
Yes. It's going to get complicated.
Which is kind of hilarious because he's like, she has a claim and she has a son. Wait, if we're worried about preserving the patriarchal line, she still shouldn't be, even though she has a son. Unless you're skipping over her and going straight to the son?
Maybe.
He's trying to argue for keeping a male line here, but he's arguing that she should take over. Because she has a son who can take over.
That's more important that they eventually get it back.
We eventually get back to having a male heir, then...
we can take it for a little while, but we got to get back to the men.
It's just a little interesting.
No, I mean, they set up a lot of... almost too overtly, I think they set it up. I think I like that, like I said, I like the very subtle way season 1 of Game of Thrones, and the books as well. We've both read all 5 of the books, because, 6 and 7 probably never going to come out.
What?
So, and I love the way that the book, the first season, is very... it's almost word for word for the book. It introduces the world so well. It introduces the characters so well. It's a very subtle progression where you kind of build up. And again, this is almost so overt that it's like, okay, I can already see you've put about 10 pieces on the board. I mean, maybe that's because they feel like they have to immediately get people vested because they're going to expect that. I don't know. But again, a lot of very overt positioning in that first episode. All right. Well, I guess that's all we got for you this time. So take to the comments below. Tell us what you thought of episode 1 of The House of the Dragon.
It was pretty much a prelim episode getting us ready for what the actual big
like I said, it set the board. That's exactly what this episode did. And for better or worse, that's all it really was. So take to the comments below. Tell us what you thought of it. Let's talk some Game of Thrones. And until next time, thanks for watching.